Edmund, why is having a will important?
Okay, having a will is important because if you don't have a will, everything will be distributed via this thing what we call Intestate Succession Act. So the Intestate Succession Act is actually a default will that the government has done for us, for people who have passed away without a will. So what it consists is actually, for example, if you're not married, everything 100% will go to your parents. So while for most people this is okay, everything go to the parents, but for some people it might not be so okay. Imagine if you are brought up by a single parent, for example, your parents have divorced when you are a young girl. At 3 years old, your father has already left you, and you were single-handedly brought up by your mother. But in the event that you passed away without a will, 50% will go to your father and 50% will go to your mother. So it might not be so fair for your mother who has brought you up from all the way from when you are a young girl. The second one is once you get married. The moment you get married, your spouse gets 50%, your parents get 50%. Okay, so this seems like quite fair, right? But imagine if it's a common disaster. So common disaster where both husband and wife pass away at the same time and nobody can determine who died first. So in the event of this, of a common disaster, the older person is deemed to have died first. So in this case, 50% of the oldest person's estate will first go to the spouse and 50% go to the parents. But because the spouse has already passed on, so that 50%, what it goes to the spouse will then go on to the spouse's parents. And while the spouse, 100% will go to the parents. So that's 100% of the younger person's estate plus 50% of the older person's estate. So it's a bit lopsided when it comes to distribution for a person without a will. And then we come to the third scenario where a person has children. So once a person has children, 50% to the spouse and then 50% to children. And immediately your parents are disinherited. So your parents have brought you up since you are a young boy or young girl until you are an adult. And the moment you have married, you have kids, they are disinherited. So this might not be such a good idea. So these are just some of the small problems of the Intestate Succession Act. Of course, I can go on and on. There's a few distribution laws. But if you want your estate to be distributed according to your wishes, then you should do a will.